comes from hold on, let me pull. Oh, Isaac James, one of my key co-workers. He writes, "Hey Alex, so was just announced recently that Netflix has given Cobra Kai a season 5, even though we have not seen season 4. Now, if season 4 is not received well, will they still move forward with season 5?" Well, thank you for your question, Isaac. Um, well, maybe Jeremy would know more about this because I'm not so sure. I don't really know TV networks or streaming services that announce seasons ahead of a season that hasn't came out yet. I can't think of any shows that have done that. I'm sure I've seen some, like I know, like for instance, when you look at the Chicago Fire, Med, and PD, they announced their seasons ahead of time. So, like for instance, like with Law and Order, we knew that they were going to get like an additional 2 extra seasons before they came out.
Right.
So those types of things have I guess legs because they've been on TV for so long. But something like Cobra Kai, if it's not received well, to your question, will they still move forward with a season 5? Well, they've already ordered the season, so I think legally they kind of have to. And um, I'm hoping. I mean, there's nothing from Cobra Kai that hasn't been trash. So I mean, I'm willing to bet they're really confident that season 4 is gonna fuck a lot of people up, and they're eager to watch season 5. I'm just
Yeah.
curious to see when they're gonna be shooting season 5. Probably, if not by the end of this year, probably maybe early in the beginning of 2022. Jeremy, how do you feel about Netflix greenlighting a season 5, even though we have not seen season 4 yet?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and a lot of times I just have to fall back on the fact that I haven't seen the contract, so I really don't know what they signed as far as stipulations go. There could have been a clause in the Netflix contract that was like, we're greenlighting season 5 unless season 4 doesn't cross this viewership threshold, at which they would probably set to be on par with what they expected it to view. They wouldn't set it astronomically so that it would fall short. They would say, we expect about 60 million streams in the first week or whatever, and if it gets anywhere near that ballpark, they'll move ahead. If it falls substantially below it, and that might even be in the clause as well, if it falls 30% short of what our estimated viewership should be, then we're going to can it for the next season. However, Alex, you're right. Like, this has been a very popular show. And to be honest with you, oftentimes quality doesn't necessarily matter as much as popularity. I mean, look how many Transformers movies we have, for God's sakes. It's like, if it continues to make money, it continues to be have cultural cachet, and you can tweet about it and use hashtags and all that stuff, they'll continue to make them. And I think Cobra Kai is a really good series, so I don't see it having an issue. They always end on these really good cliffhangers to where even if everything that happened in the season wasn't perfect, by the end of it, you still got to know what's going to happen next. And they've done that very effectively for 3 seasons now. So I have a feeling this show is going to have longevity. However, I look at a show like Stranger Things, which had a lot of the same hype behind it, a lot of similar crossover audiences. It's 80s nostalgia, plus younger people like it. And so it hits a lot of the marks that Stranger Things did. And Stranger Things was like huge, but I have a feeling like interest has kind of waned. So the Duffer Brothers were smart enough to say, hey, we're doing one more season and then we're shutting it down. Whereas you look at like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they just now signed a contract to make, a dozen movies, 14 movies, and X amount of new seasons of South Park. And with Matt Groening, it was the same thing. We're giving you 5 more seasons of The Simpsons, and then we'll talk about renewing at the end of this contract, which speaks to your point. Network television series, they become an institution. People tune in for them week after week. It just kind of becomes like viewing habits. And so I do think that they're going to go ahead and finish both seasons of them, and there's not going to be any question about whether or not they jump into a season 5. I would also say, and obviously the actors' salaries is what's going to cost the most for a show like this, because there isn't VFX, there isn't even really like prosthetics. There's a bit of stunt work in it, but it seems like a relatively cheap show to produce. It's not like they're having to spend a year in post production afterwards. So
Mhm.
even if they shot season 5 and weren't able to roll it out, I don't think it would cost them too terribly much. So I see them just continuing on the course, and we'll probably get at least 5 seasons of Cobra Kai when it's said and done.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't even think about it because Cobra Kai is essentially a very cheap show. Like all the actor, well, I can't say all the actors do their own stunts because I'm sure, like, I mean, and you can just pay attention, especially in the first season where they replace with their stunt doubles,
Oh yeah.
especially the people who are getting beat up. But um, Jeremy's right. There isn't any mystical or supernatural elements in that
Right.
show. So a lot of it's point and shoot. And then it's like a lot of you stand here, you do this. And like it's, I mean, again, like making making a Cobra Kai show, most of their money is spent on their talent, I would assume. I mean, that's what I would think. And to his point, he's right. When you look at like stuff like The Simpsons and South Park, those shows have been on like when my parents were kids. So
Yeah.
the notion that that they probably won't, well, I mean, depending on how season 4 is received, will they move forward? I genuinely believe they will move forward because it's not really costing Netflix anything, to be honest, since they're $1 billion company.
Yes.
So I'm interested to see it. And again, like Cobra Kai is not trash, so everything that they've put out has been amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be though where it's like The Simpsons, where it just gets just drawn out for no reason. Like that's how I feel about that. But
Yes.
what do you guys think about Cobra Kai getting a green light for season 5? Just jump into the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you.